Hey, what's going on, guys? So some of you might remember that earlier this year I started work on a snake-themed project just because this year is the zodiac year of the snake, and so I thought it'd be cool to make a snake-themed project. Well, while it is still 2025, I have since finished the project and just in time, so I'm going to share that with you in today's video. But before that, I do have a little bit of sort of work in progress that I recorded like months and months ago, so I'll include that here at the beginning of the video. Then I'll show you the finished build, and then I'll show you some other snake-themed finished builds from some of my Patreon members in our Discord. We kind of did it as like a group effort where a few others on the Discord got in on the snake themed builds, and so I'll show you what they came up with at the end of the video as well, so make sure to stick around for that. So for now, let me just show you this little bit of video that I recorded earlier this year, and then we'll talk some more about the finished kit. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's still the year of the snake here, and so we're going to continue on finishing up this build here of the Machine Krieger 120 scale Snake Eye Reconnaissance type Seapig, and a couple of things here before we go ahead and get some primer on this guy. I did add a couple more little bits here and there. Most notably added this ammo drum here on the Gatling gun arm that we modified there. That was something that I was thinking about. Someone did also bring it up in the comments too. They thought it looked a bit weird without ammo drum. I was in agreement, and I was thinking about like, I didn't really know how to go about it. I had this leftover part from a different kit that I'm actually working on at the moment, and it actually worked out quite well to be like kind of just the right size and shape kind of to what I'm looking for. And then just scratch built a little kind of ammunition chain there going from the drum into the arms, so just a little bit of scratch building on that just to kind of make it work. I think it looks pretty nice. And yeah, right now we're basically ready to go spray some primer on this. Now, because a lot of this is glued, some of you guys may be wondering if you're not really familiar with kind of working on this type of kit. People may do it differently, but typically how I like to go about doing primer on these suit kits is basically just do the top and bottom half separately, and that's really kind of about all the disassembly that I do. So that's also going to mean we're going to have to take out the wires. So the bottom half like this, I can put on an alligator clip, spray the legs good and well, and then the top half, I might take the head out of here too, just so that we can make sure we get primer down into the inside of there well, and then all around the head gets primed, and we can probably just paint that separately, and we'll put that in like at the very end. So this will be separated out, and then I might go ahead and take these arms off too and spray them separately, but very little disassembly basically going to be done to get some primer on this. So let's go ahead and do that. I think this is going to look so much nicer once there's primer on there and everything's all kind of uniform in color. So let's go ahead and get it going. Now, jumping back to current time here with the finished kit, here is how it turned out, all painted and weathered, a little bit of weathering on there, and obviously decals and all that other stuff. I'll talk some more about that, but just kind of getting to this point. So one of the reasons why this took me a while, or kind of like I was really at the very beginning of the year, I was chugging along on this, I thought it was going to be a really kind of quick build, and what kind of held me up at first was just kind of not really sure what I wanted to do for the paint scheme on it, because obviously it's snake themed, so I was thinking about how to paint it to kind of fit with that snake theme. And I was thinking to do sort of like brownish kind of colors, just because this year in particular is the year of the wood snake. So I was thinking something like brownish colors, and then like maybe sort of like a pattern on it to look a bit like snake scales. And that kind of made sense to the theme, but I just wasn't really kind of into that, just imagining how it was going to look. I mean, it could have turned out differently, but just in my imagination, it just didn't look all that interesting, especially on this kit. Maybe on something else, it might have looked better, but just from what I was imagining how it was going to end up looking on this, I didn't really like the idea. And so while I was trying to think of other ideas, then I started to work on my GBWC project, and so this got set to the side and just kind of delayed more just because I was working on that. But then finally coming back to it later on towards the end of the year now, and I was looking at some more images of snakes online, and I was just kind of looking around for ideas, and just ideas related to the color scheme in particular. And I found this image, and I really liked the colors of this, and I thought that this would be a color scheme that I would be more excited about trying. Although here on the finished product, I mean, as you can see, there's not really too much about it that really screams snake. I don't think anyone really probably is going to look at this and think like, oh, it's like a snake color scheme or something, right? So I think ultimately at the end of the day, there's really not a whole lot about this that really, makes it stand out as a snake themed build necessarily. But although the color scheme was based on this particular type of snake, although I don't know which one it is, and there's not really anything tying it to like the wood snake theme in particular. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with how the model came out. That's the main thing. I think it came out looking pretty cool. And even though it's supposed to be snake themed for this year of the snake, and there's not really a whole lot of snake theming going on with it. I'm still just happy that it's a cool looking model. That's the most important thing for me. But anyway, so what I did with it, yeah, basically was just kind of a dark, it's a very dark brown for like the main color, and then sort of like a duck egg green mix for the lighter kind of snake-like pattern on it that you see there, and that's carried onto the pilot's helmet there as well. And that was all just hand painted with Mr. Hobby, Mr. Color paints. And then for the decals, I went with a mix of, mostly it's kind of like typical Maschinen Krieger suit decals on there, but then obviously I have the one part there on the side, on like the side of the chassis and like the shoulder armor in that one tank where there's a bunch of decals that are meant to look like stickers on there. I wanted to put that in there just as like a little bit of extra flair, like just to make it look like, let's say maybe the pilot is just a fan of putting a bunch of stickers on his suit here. So I thought it was just kind of a little bit of like a personal pilot's decoration on his suit, and it just kind of added a little bit more life to the kit, I think, and just made it a little bit more interesting having that on there. So I was happy with how that turned out. And then just a little bit of weathering on there, just some like pretty subtle weathering, just a little bit of chipping around on like some of the edges and a little bit of filtering around on it. So you'll maybe notice that a little bit, but there's not a whole lot. It went like fairly minimal with the weathering, just imagining this as a space type suit. It's not going to be like trudging around in the dirt, and it's not going to be going around through brush and getting scratched up and everything, just through like terrain, through rocks and trees and everything else like that it might be bumping into on the ground. Being in space, it's not really going to have that. So I went fairly light on the weathering, and then just top coat and based up here on this nice wood block, stained that, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, but really happy with how this came out. I really like the modified arm into the Gatling gun. I think that turned out really well. The main thing when making modifications to a suit like this is that I would hope that it would like blend in with the design, because Maschinen Krieger kits have like a very iconic like design language to them, and so like making any modification, I wouldn't want it to like clash with the rest of the design language. And I think the way that I end up making the Gatling gun there, I think it fits pretty well with the overall Maschinen Krieger style. And so I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the modified like wire antenna there at the back. That was a cool addition. And then also the doubling up of the hoses from the torso part, from the chassis into the back of the legs there. That's obviously just supposed to be one hose, and yeah, I added a second one there just to kind of add a little extra something, and that's really kind of about it. So that's the finished product on my snake build. As I said, we're going to take a look at a couple other snake builds from some of my Patreon supporters here, so just thank you to them as always for their support, and let me know in the comments what you guys thought about my build here. And I'll just say that next year is the year of the horse, and I do have an idea in mind for like a kind of Zodiac themed build for next year, which will certainly feature a much more prominent horse presence in it. So stay tuned for that next year. Make sure that you're subscribed, of course, to not miss any future videos. I'll start working on that beginning of next year. And other than that, guys, check out some more model kits, paints, tools, and supplies at USA Gundam Store. The link is in the video description as always. And without any further ado, let's take a look at some other snake builds. So first up here, we have this snake-themed Manrodi build here from Marine. This is one that we've actually seen before. If you guys ever watched the Gunpla critique videos, we took a look at this. And I think more than one Gunpla critique video, because I think we saw it when it was still yet unfinished, and then we saw it when it was finished as well. But really awesome build here of that. Nice modifications to the front of the chest to obviously give it those snake fangs. You might not think that like the Manrodi could look very snake-like with it being just like a very meatball-shaped mobile suit, not very long or lengthy, but he did add some extensions there to the legs with those like kind of booster units there replacing the feet, giving it a little bit more kind of snake-like proportions with it being kind of like those longer extended legs, and also I guess not having legs. Well, I guess they're legs but not feet anyway, which makes sense as well because snakes don't have feet. And then of course you have that really awesome color scheme on there with that green gradient. Really love the look of that, the different shades of green used to give it that nice gradient look over the armor, and then some nice weathering on there as well. So really cool build there from Marine. Next up here from Edgar, this is another one that we saw previously or earlier in the year in the Gunpla critique video, where he took an HG Gelgoog and gave it the arm of the HG Zagok and gave it this really cool purple color scheme here, and the snake theming coming in there with the snake like pattern, kind of scale pattern that was painted on there. That was really cool. Again, this is something we talked a lot about more in the Gunpla critique video, so you can go back and check that out for kind of some more commentary on this earlier. But really like the design of this, and this is another example example of where kind of another reason why I really love, especially HG Xeon mobile suits, is just because they're so easy to like customize, and you can completely imagine this. I think actually this was, from now that I'm just saying it out loud, I think this was based on an actual mobile suit designed from a manga or something. I think it was. It is an actual like manga. I'm not sure how canon it is ultimately, but a variation of the Galaguga. But anyway, basically when it comes to Xeon mobile suits, any variation that you can make, you can kind of make it fit in canon in some way. So that's why I love working on them, and especially like custom Xeon suits like this. But it's really cool. It really works well, I think, especially with the sword weapon and then like the claw arm. I think works really nicely and came out really well. Painted really nicely. That snake pattern on there just looks really cool. So that came out really nice. All right, third and last one here from Genki. This is another one that we saw in Gunpla Critique earlier this year. So yeah, all of these actually we've seen before, but glad to include them all here in kind of our final video showing everyone's snake builds all in one video here. But this, of course, is the Roku, the Nachin Roku kit from Kotobukiya, with some really nice modification on this, the snake pattern painted on the head, and then some scratch building kind of like molding there on the front to give it that like three-dimensional snake pattern on the front part of the chest, and some really nice pattern painting on the shoulders and the arms. You got some really cool painting on that just with the blue gradient as well too. Just that metallic blue looks really nice there on the Roku. And then based up on that really cool like boulder rock there for the base. Very nice. So this one was really cool as well. And as you can see from these three examples, these guys definitely followed the snake theme a lot more closely than I did. I got, pretty far away from the snake theming on it, but it all works out in the end. It's fine. But like I said, next year is definitely going to be a lot more of a horse presence in my build. And looking forward to seeing what everybody else comes up with too for next year's Zodiac build. If anybody else is going to be doing one, definitely let me know. But I'm sure there'll be a few of us over there in my Discord server that are going to be joining in on that other than myself. But yeah, if you guys are interested in joining on Patreon, the link will be down in the video description below. You can get access to the Discord, and you can also join in on the Gunpla Critiques. So like I said, these are all builds that we saw earlier this year on Gunpla Critique, and that's something that you can get involved in. If you want more information on that, just check out the Patreon link down below. Really appreciate those guys' support, and everybody there on Patreon. Really appreciate all your guys' support so much throughout this year, and there's a lot of people on there that have been around for multiple years, so thank you guys all so much for all your support. And everybody watching, thank you so much as well. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at some snake builds, and yeah, look forward to some horse builds maybe this time next year, hopefully maybe earlier in the year, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's it for today's video, guys. See y'all later. Bye.